welcome to the Thursday, September 2nd edition of the SVG-TV News. I am Khalil Cato with the details. Richard James of the Kingstown Preparatory School and Isaiah Tony of the Georgetown government have topped this year's Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, the CPEA. They attained 96.8% overall. The third place position went to Sheila Gonzalez of the Sugar Mill Academy. Sharing the fourth place are Gerald James of the Kingstown Prep and Aziel Boston of Sugar Mill. Tisha Martin of the Kingstown Government School shared the sixth position with Alexander Cummings of Sugar Mill. Kittel's Government's Lucia Hillocks placed eighth. Tegan Gonzalez, that should be Tegan Dean of the St. Mary's Roman Catholic, placed ninth, and Michaela Durant of the Kingstown Prep rounded out the top 10 positions for this year's assessment. SVG-TV News spoke with Richard James, who is one of the top 2 performers for the country and the top performer for his school. Richard was at his school's graduation ceremony today as the valedictorian. While he expected to do well for the assessment, Richard said he did not expect to be the top student overall.
Really crazy. I mean, I never expected this to happen because even though I'm used to top of my class, I kept thinking about CPA. CPA is out of like early 6th grade and later, so I was like, don't put your expectations too high. But all I did, I tried my best. Those are my expectations, to try my best. So I'm happy me trying my best got me to this point. And this is also I think there's a valedictorian trophy.
Richard's excited mother said that her son is self-disciplined and she's not surprised that he placed in the top position. The other top student, Isaiah Tony of the Georgetown Government School, said that he learned the news early this morning. Isaiah noted that being a student from the red zone came with its challenges and he's happy to place in the top position.
I said to him before the exam, I'm already proud because I saw that he did the preparation. So regardless if it was first, second, he did the work and I was proud. So this for him is an achievement to know once you put in the work, you will be rewarded. He's very disciplined when he comes to his work. So his strategy is, I know I have to get my work done, I'm going to get it out of the way so that I can play.
Isaiah's proud father, Danville Tony, said Isaiah got full support from his entire family along with his teachers, for which he is grateful.
First, yes, I did expect to place in the top 10. And the way I found out about this news is kind of unfortunate because I had to be woken up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to be told that apparently I had come second, even though it was first. And then the second I heard second, I literally just hit the bed and then tried to go back to sleep. I believe that I coped well with the change brought by the eruption of the volcano and all the different challenges that we have faced.
We are very elated, and it's not something that we didn't expect. There were some interruptions, and I mean that was the concerning thing for us at one point because the school was in the red zone. He had to he was transferred. Well, they had to have their school at community college, but luckily, I mean, I work in town, so I mean he used to go down with me, and then he catch the bus. We made arrangement. I mean everything just worked out kind of well. It was challenging, but we found a way around it.
Teachers from the Kingstown Prep and Georgetown government said the students continue to make them proud.
Done well for the exams, but this is not the final step. We are all concerned about our students when they leave here. We know what happened with the pandemic and they're going on to secondary school.
Isn't a surprise. We actually expected something like this. You know, he also had a very strong support base in his family. So, you know, he was always very confident. The teachers are a very dedicated bunch and they really went above and beyond for this.
Sheila Gonzalez of the Sugar Mill Academy, who placed third, is currently out of state. SVG-TV News, however, spoke with Gerald Charles of the Kingstown Prep and Aziel Boston of the Sugar Mill Academy, as well as Tisha Martin of the Kingstown Government School, who placed 6th overall.
of shocked that I was able to get at least in the top 10. I didn't really think I was going to get in the top 10 because I had to rush down the maths because I wasted a lot of time on some questions. So I thought that was going to be my downfall and put me low into the ranks.
I was relaxed and excited and proud. It was kind of stressful, but then this year we got it easy because we had a book that gave us practice tests. So the examination was like another practice test.
When I sat the examination, I was hoping to get higher. But it's fine where I am now. To studying, I studied for some while and then I took a little break and then I went back to study. So that was the routine for every day.
Asiel Boston, who has a twin who placed fourth, has a twin who unfortunately did not place in the top 10. A mother of the twins, Bridget Gold, said although it is challenging, she thanked God for seeing them through. And likewise, the mother of Tisha Martin of the Kingstown government shared similar sentiments.
Actually come home and go and do their own research. They will do their homework on their own. So I'll just be assisting them and guiding them. So because of the whole support system with the teachers and our friends who were there praying for us and everything like that, it was really a beautiful experience. It's the same plan going forward. We face challenges as they come, but we put God first.
Because I was there 24/7, I was along the way helping her, along with her teachers, her grade 6 teacher, the principal, the teachers from lower grades, everybody played a part in her education. They were pushing her and they were helping her along the way. So
In other news, 7 new cases of COVID-19 were reported from 187 samples processed on Tuesday, resulting in a positivity rate of 3.7%, with 1 new recovery noted over the reporting period. 38 cases are currently active and 12 persons with COVID-19 have died. 2,355 cases of the virus and 2,305 recoveries have been recorded in SVG since March 2020. The health authorities say in view of the increased risk of infection and subsequent transmission of COVID-19 posed by the growing incidence of variants of concern in persons entering the country, strict compliance with all protocols and recommendations is strongly recommended. These include the effective use of masks, physical distancing, hand sanitizing, and immunization with available vaccines. A CARICOM Assistant Secretary General Dr. Douglas Slater warns Vincentians of the dangerous Delta variant, which is hitting other Caribbean countries very hard. He was speaking on a VC3 program last evening.
Tell you that Delta is dangerous. It's not by accident probable that the two dangerous and Delta start with D. The Delta variant, for example, the original and most of the other variants took an average of 5 to 7 days from the exposure of a patient to start seeing illness or even testing positive. The Delta variant is down to 2 days. It is several times more infectious than the other variant. There's a factor we call the R0, and it is a factor which says how many persons may be infected from one person. Most of the other variants was like 1 person will infect 2. The Delta variant has been found to infect between 6 to 8 persons. Now that is an exponential possibility you're putting there.
Dr. Slater further spoke on the new COVID-19 variant called Mu, which the World Health Organization said it is keeping a close eye on.
And that one, the reason why they are concerned is that it has the potential of changing up so much that it can escape any of the vaccines we have right now. Now, I'm not saying that that is definitely so yet, but that's the potential. And that's the risk we are running. Now, I overheard a little.
Dr. Slater, who is also a medical doctor, said that if these variants should reach SVG, they will have a very bad impact on lives and livelihoods. He further stressed the importance of everyone getting vaccinated.
COVID-19 disease exists. Many millions of persons, almost 5 million people have died from it. And more than 95% of those persons who have died from it were unvaccinated. These are undeniable facts. We have several vaccines that are clearly very useful. At first, one, preventing serious illness and death. And people must remember that always the scientists said the vaccine, that was the first function of the vaccines. It also helps to slow down the transmission rate.
And infectious disease specialist Dr. Gerald Thompson says, like other viruses such as mumps and Zika that are known for causing orchitis or painful testicles, COVID-19 has the same effect on men. On radio yesterday, Dr. Thompson noted that some persons who have recovered from COVID are still suffering from what is considered as long-term COVID, with severe pain in the testicles and erectile dysfunction.
There's of studies to be done on autopsies. We have a lot of them because 4.5 million people have died. Most of them would have autopsies. They have done autopsies on the testicles. They found the testicles swollen, inflamed with white blood cells. They even found viral particles inside the testicles. They found oligospermia, and in a small percentage, aspermia. No sperms at all, but oligospermia in 31% of these individuals and higher. They've also found some sperms with 2 heads, double heads. And the process, what I'm saying to you, is that the inflammation that has taken place would have seriously affected what we consider as being sterility. Now we know mumps.
The infectious disease specialist further explained how males who have been infected with the COVID-19 virus can become sterile.
Catch mumps, a certain percentage of mumps, boys, became sterile. And in the same way, we're saying the same thing with COVID-19. Now, how does it do this? I'm saying this in two reasons. One, anytime you have a viral illness and your temperature goes up 2 to 3 degrees, the first thing, one of the first organs to be affected is the testicles. The sperm count drops. Do you know the Romans used to have these baths, hot baths, cold baths, and in order to practice contraceptive, they didn't have condoms, they didn't have birth control thing, so they used to go and have a hot bath in order to stun the sperm, and reduce the possibility of conceiving or transmitting sperms that are active. And so a rising temperature kills sperms. But so COVID does that during the fever stage, and it's recoverable. But when the virus invades the testicles and affects some of the cells that develop into sperms, it is permanent. It's a permanent sort of situation that could lead to either aspermia or oligospermia, a reduced sperm count.
The Ministry of National Mobilization, in collaboration with UNICEF, has commenced a Training of Trainers Family Life Education Life Skills program for facilitators to train 500 families requiring income support from the Family Support Grant of the Public Assistance Program and 500 families on the Souffre Relief Grant for displaced families due to the eruption. The training of facilitators will end tomorrow for subsequent implementation in communities for 1,000 families or participants beginning this month for the next 3 months. According to the ministry, the program aims to provide psychosocial support and financial literacy to participating families while receiving financial support from the government and associated donor partners. President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Public Service Union, Elroy Boucher, has expressed disappointment with the Commissioner of Police's response to the PSU's letters of August 25th and 26th, notifying him of their intention to protest in capital Kingstown from September 7th to 10th. In his response to the PSU's letters, Commissioner Colin John cited sections of the Public Order Act not to grant permission for the protest, at least not in the areas where the PSU identified, citing the preservation of order and public safety. The protests, which were initially slated to occur in front of the Kingstown Vegetable Market at Paul's Avenue and at Whitechapel Road, were restricted to the highway trading area in Arnesville and the Sign Hill intersection. The PSU president said they will be looking at a way forward at a virtual meeting with their membership tonight.
Very disappointing and very depressing when you have leading a trade union, and a trade union is what it is, it's a workers' organization, and they are taking a decision to do certain things. When you think that you're acting within the law, given our constitutional rights and the Trade Union Act and the special provisions that are there for trade unions, and to hear the Commissioner of Police, after meeting with them and expressing your position to them, and they're going to do this, it is very disappointing. The union is meeting with its membership via Zoom tonight, and the membership will have to direct us what to do, because we want to abide by the law, even though we may think that the interpretation of the law is wrong or is erroneous. We still want to operate within the law because we are public servants and law-abiding citizens, so we would want to do that. So the membership, of course, however, will make such a decision.
In relation to the procession guidelines laid out by the commissioner in his response to the union's letter, Boucher said they will decide where to hold the procession at tonight's meeting.
To the procession, they suggested that we go to Arnesville or Sign Hill, some in that region. Again, it is the membership who will have to decide that. It's a really sad time for our democracy. It is even sadder because our Prime Minister used to be a friend of the union, and he stated that in 2005 that he is indebted to the trade union. He'll always be a friend of the trade union. But now, it seems that we are seeing something totally different. It's really a sad moment for us as a trade union movement that the state is prohibiting you from demonstrating freely in the country.
The PSU president further noted that legal action may be taken in the future to challenge the interpretation of the law by the commissioner. However, he noted the court system does take time, and therefore this route will not be taken to handle the current situation.
The legal steps, what legal steps are available? What is available really is in the form of a judicial review, but that doesn't happen overnight. That takes, even when there's a lodge in the court, it actually takes a while. That takes more than a year. 3 years. The last case we had, that's when the route of judicial review lasted more than a year. So in this case, you're talking about a current issue that you're addressing. So a judicial review would not address this current situation, but I think it is absolutely necessary for us to challenge the decision of the Commissioner of Police and its interpretation of the law in the court. That is absolutely necessary to ensure that there are no further misinterpretation.
Speaking with SVG-TV News outside the Magistrates Court in Kingstown today, where he was lending support to 2 members of the NDP who were arrested and charged in relation to last month's protest, was opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday, who shared his frustration with the position being taken by the Commissioner of Police in relation to their own protest action planned for September 9th during the next sitting of Parliament.
Well, it's very disappointing that people come out to express their democratic rights, which is protected by our Constitution. Practices that we have done for years, part of our democratic tradition. And we have to come here this morning to answer to charges. We have to, as a people, carry this fight for democracy forward and continue to insist upon the right of the people to express themselves democratically. We don't simply surrender our rights to somebody because we send them to Parliament. We always reserve that right to say on matters that we feel sufficiently moved by, that we will come out and exercise our democratic rights ourselves. That's what people do when they come and protest. They're saying, in this case, I'm going to stand up for myself. The police shouldn't come between the people exercising that right and the government. And that is why it is so important that people stand up, and that on the 9th of September, that people stand up and say, no matter what our differences are, we must come together on this fundamental principle, which is to say that our democratic rights and traditions must be respected no matter who's in office.
Local lawyer and former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Jomo Thomas, has deemed the Commissioner of Police's application of the Public Order Act in relation to the upcoming protests by the PSU and the NDP as backward. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Thomas noted the origin of the Public Order Act, which he said was implemented in the early 1950s after adult suffrage to corral the black population of the country. He noted that while there are constitutional provisions which allow the state to have certain restrictions on speech, time, and manner, the context in which this happens raises the question of whether good governance and democracy are being practiced.
I think that the commissioner is out of his wits. The application that he's putting on this, I don't see how he comes with an application and believes that what he's doing is in keeping with democratic best practices. For one thing, the commissioner ought to know that the bill which he's trying to apply in 2021 is a 1952 Act. What was happening in 1952, 1951? St. Vincent had achieved adult suffrage. For the first time in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the overwhelming majority of the population who were black were given the franchise, and they were beginning to come to a point, as Rex Nettleford out of Jamaica says, to assume their own somebodyness. So this act was a way to corral our people, to let them know what they can do and what they cannot do. So that's the context. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, of course, state authorities can have what are called time, place, and manner restriction on speech and on assembly. That is constitutionally established. But to what end are they doing this? And based on what they're doing, does it comport with good governance and democratic best practices? And the answer has to be no.
Thomas noted the history of procession demonstrations in SVG and said the tradition of democratic expressions should be upheld.
Since 1951, Vincentians have indicated their protests and their intentions through marches, pickets, demonstrations, processions. Yeah? And in fact, in 1951, when the 8th Army of Liberation came on the scene, the 8th Army of Liberation, which was headed by George Charles and people like Ebenezer Theodore Joshua, their thing was to march from Arnersville into Kingstown. The spiritual Baptists, over the years, fighting for their democratic rights to assembly and expression and religion, marched from country to town. And I can't recall the United People's Movement, headed then by Ralph Gonsalves, had a march from Sion Hill to Kingstown. It's one of the largest procession demonstrations that I have ever been in, because I was a young teenager in those days. So the tradition, the history has always been that even the colonial authorities, even having passed that law in 1979, would allow people to engage in democratic expressions. So yes, there are time, place, and manner restrictions, as I said. But there's a preeminent jurist in the Caribbean called Peter Jamadar. And Peter Jamadar sits on the Caribbean Court of Justice. And Peter Jamadar says that there could be rule by law, but what we always should have in democratic societies is rule of law. What the commissioner is attempting to do is rule by law, a mechanical, reactionary application of the law having to do with the Public Order Act. It has nothing to do with the democratic spirit of the country, and it actually creates a black eye for the Ralph Gonsalves government.
According to Thomas, the present developments are a narrowing of the democratic processes in the country. He highlighted that persons are known to picket in capital Kingstown, and neither the opposition nor the unions require permission from the Commissioner of Police to protest. According to him, it will be interesting to see how these organizations will proceed in light of the Commissioner's stipulations.
The tradition is that people come into town, right, and hold demonstrations and hold pickets. You hold a demonstration in front of the market, you hold a demonstration in front of the ministries, you hold a demonstration in front of the police station. Now, the commissioner is telling people, oh, the law says you must be 200 yards away, or we can command you to be 200 yards away. So guess what? We send you 2 miles away. How does that comport to the democratic spirit? How? the unions don't have to seek permission from the union nor the opposition. Do not have to seek permission from the Commissioner of Police. As I said, they need to notify him, and the Act allows for time, place, and manner restriction, and he's doing it. He's applying those, and as I said, he's applying them mechanically. He's making a reactionary application, a backward application of the laws, and it would be interesting to see what the unions and the opposition New Democratic Party does, because it was Martin Luther King, one of the moral titans of this world, who says persuasively that no one needs to obey an immoral law. And this application of this law is immoral because it is an assault on the democratic spirit of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The General Secretary of the opposition New Democratic Party, Tyrone James, and party spokesperson Colin Graham appeared in court at the Kingstown Magistrates Court today, facing 4 charges in relation to last month's protest action in capital Kingstown. They were charged that on August 5th, they did organize or were concerned with organizing a public procession without notifying the Commissioner of Police at least 24 hours prior. They are also facing charges that they did knowingly take part in a public procession or meeting on July 29th and August 5th in Kingstown in contravention of Section 5.1 and Section 5.2 of the Public Order. Both men pleaded not guilty to all charges. James and Graham are expected back in court on December 7th. Outside the courthouse today, they shared their thoughts on the charges laid against them.
Not much was really going through my mind at that point in time. The only concern I had was that it so happened that today is also my daughter's graduation from the Kingstown Preparatory School and how that would play out. My daughter's graduation at the Kingstown Preparatory School, so that is the only thing that was weighing heavy on my mind. I wanted to know that, I would be here today to be at her graduation, but unfortunately because of the circumstances and the authorities and the police position in all of this, I am here at the Kingstown Magistrate Court. And so what I feel are some very frivolous charges.
Yesterday.
Well, in terms of the arrest, the police came at the NDP headquarters, and I want to make a point that this is a political party headquarters where the leader of the opposition resides. And they came into the building. But I'm saying that's a very dangerous precedent to start, where you're entering political party buildings.
Why is this a dangerous precedent? They were there
in the history of sin. Hello?
Weren't they there to execute an arrest?
No, they came to interview me. According to the commissioner who spoke with Kibacus, they wanted to interview me. It's only some 3-4 hours after he said yes, they want to arrest me. So at the time the police came en masse with weapons, they were coming to interview me. Well, eventually when they decided that they wanted to arrest me, I went in there because I wasn't hiding from the police.
You went in there as in into the police?
I went to the police, yes. Because, let me say this, I have worked over 30 years with the police force. I've risen to the rank of command of the Coast Guard Service. I have retired, I have received my benefits. I have no blemish on my record. I know the commissioner, he knows me. I know several of the officers, they have my number. If they wanted to discuss an interview, all you have to do is to call me. But you send men with weapons on 2 separate occasions. At my home, I have a daughter who is challenged. She gets irritable in these sort of situations. Before someone had all this gun, if she had done somebody to shoot her. Now yesterday when they went there, she was so scared, she was in her bedroom until this morning. This is the sort of thing that the police are doing.